Hello, Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for another horoscope video for the upcoming Taurus new moon that happens on April 30th, and this is a big one because it is a partial solar eclipse. We've entered into the eclipse season, which usually brings along with it great change. So let's go ahead and dive right in, and I'll bring up the chart here so we know what the heck we're even talking about. Okay, here we are. So what I'm going to focus on primarily, of course, is, these 4 planets in Taurus here, or really 3 planets. You have the new moon, sun and moon. You have Uranus right nearby. Uranus is going to play a major role. And then you have the north node of the moon in Taurus. And you also have Mercury and Gemini here, which is quite significant because whenever Mercury is in its own sign of Gemini, it's very, very strong. Meanwhile, it's slowing down and stationing, so it's about to go retrograde. So Mercury is going to play a big role in really the totality of May. We also have this massive event, which is definitely a headliner, although I won't talk about it too much, only because I've been talking about it in every video. And that's the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. It's playing a major role. It's also in a beautiful sextile to that north node as well, and a trine to the south node. So that's playing a massive role. And then what we're spending a lot of time talking about is Saturn in Aquarius square the nodes. This has all kinds of implications, which we'll explore. Now, what's interesting right off the bat is both Saturn and Uranus are involved in a big way here. And for those of you who have been watching my videos, for the last year and a half, I've been talking all about Saturn and Uranus repeatedly because it's been a major, major event. They're square to each other. A square is a 90-degree aspect. They're currently 80 degrees apart, so it's a little on the weaker side, 10 degrees out of orb, we say, from an exact square. The wider we are from the aspect, the weaker it is. However, because Saturn is in its own sign of Aquarius, it's square the nodes, then the solar eclipse is happening right next to Uranus. Since both these planets are heavily activated, in my view, the square is very strong right now. And this highlights themes of basically the friction between these 2 planets is the outdated habits of the past at cross purposes with, or in a friction-based aspect with, the innovations of the new. That's more Uranus. Or another way of putting this is control, Saturn, versus freedom and liberation, Uranus. And actually, we're seeing this manifested in a big way right now. As I'm sure you all know, it's been all over media. Elon Musk is in the process of, or has actually landed the deal of buying Twitter. That's a major Saturn-Uranus event because it appears that Elon Musk represents the more Uranian side of the coin. His value of freedom of speech is the major motivator of him purchasing the company. Freedom of speech is a very Uranian impulse. I mean, it is the planet of freedom and the planet of technology. This is involving technology, a big part of the Aquarian age, which is the freedom or the age of information and technology. So here he is buying a company with money. There's that Taurus energy. A company which, in some people's opinion, has suffered from control of powerful people who have had a lack of, we could say, transparency. And there's been a lot of censorship there, which is the dark side of Saturn transiting through Aquarius. So we're seeing this square in action in a big way. Now, Elon Musk is actually a very fascinating person. I'm preparing to do a chart spotlight video that I'm going to be posting on my Patreon account for all my patron community. And I've been listening to a lot of his interviews and such, and it's so interesting to connect his ideas and his values and what makes him tick and what drives him to do what it is he does. It just lights up his birth chart like a Christmas tree. So I'm actually very excited to launch that video on my Patreon. So he's just a fascinating character, I find. Now, before I dive deeper into Uranus and Saturn, I just want to highlight Mercury and Gemini right here. What this is going to feel like subjectively is time speeding up. Whenever a planet is stationing, it's about to change direction, which Mercury is doing. There's an amplification of that archetypal field associated with that planet. Ditto for the fact that it's in its own sign of Gemini, as I said. So Mercury is just, wow, it is super strong this month. And it's the fastest planet in the solar system. You know, it orbits around the sun once every 88 days. So it represents sheer speed, data in, data out, you know. So I would imagine, although it's going to be a 31-day May like it always is, subjectively, it's going to go by in a week. You know, it's just going to be happening. A lot of action, a month defined by the constant, immediate, and the emergent. And the evolutionary intention of that is to just soak it up like a sponge. The evolutionary intention is to learn. Learn what? Well, you know, that can really be informed by the rest of the planets. But let's just say the speed of this month is light speed, as we aim to achieve the evolutionary intention of this Uranian impulse, which is to liberate, yes, to be free, yes, free from what? Well, this is when we tie in Saturn and the nodes, habit energies of the past. This is a major overlap in meaning between Saturn and the nodes. They're both linked to the word habit. You know, Saturn tends to be ingrained habitual behavior from the current life, or have a heavier emphasis on that, whereas the nodes is more past life ingrained behavior, but they're both involved with habit. And as we grow wiser, which is a Saturn goal, and we mature, part of that maturation process, especially with it being in Aquarius square Uranus, is to break free from the habits of ingrained behavior that in such a way that we've been influenced by culture and family, both in this life and karmically, influenced by others. We're all susceptible to psyops, you know, and our acquired personality, which you could say, which is a summation of outside influence, working with Uranus and Aquarius is breaking free from that. Breaking the great work. You know, Saturn likes hard work. The great work of growing beyond that ingrained behavior that's not a part of our soul essence, not a part of our divinity. And to disrupt that. Uranus, the great disruptor, the great awakener, the god of earthquakes and lightning bolts. And in fact, I named this video Earthquakes. And no, I'm not predicting literal earthquakes. So before you say, clickbait, how dare you say, you know, it's like, it's meant to be metaphorical. And to be fair, Uranus in Taurus, with the more, let's say, predictive or classical style of astrology, is associated with more seismic activity, more disruption, instability, but also great innovation in Taurus-like areas of life, like food, agriculture, the shipment of food, money and the money systems and currency. And we're seeing a lot of that. For example, cryptocurrency is a classic Uranus and Taurus phenomenon. You know, it's very unstable, but also it's very innovative. And potentially, and this is what everybody who's into crypto claims, that it is the secret to freedom for humanity. They see crypto as some great savior. Is it? Well, that's everybody has a different opinion about that, but it definitely is Uranus and Taurus. But earthquakes, and even the god of earthquakes in the sign of Earth, the Earth sign of Taurus, this idea of it's time to shake things up. You know, it's time to create newness. That's one way of putting it, because it's next to the solar eclipse, which is essentially a new moon. New moons are about new beginnings. How can I shake things up and create new beginnings that are in deeper alignment with my Uranian authentic self? Outgrow some of these habitual artifacts of the past. And, you know, with Saturn squaring the nodes ties into the karmic piece of this. And this is a complex thing, nodes square Saturn, which we'll talk about here in a more generalized way. But I also want to say I did a very in-depth monthly horoscope of this particular event, but applying different rising signs. So based on your rising sign, Saturn's going to be in this house of your chart, the nodes are going to be in those houses, etc. And I did this very in-depth horoscope video for my Patreon community. So if you want to understand how you can work with Saturn square the nodes in your own life in a more deeper level of specificity, we could say, as we tie in the houses of your chart, I do offer that there on my Patreon. You can see the Patreon link on the right side of the screen there. I'll also put a link below if you're interested in checking it out. So Saturn, the great work of basically growing beyond the darker influences of our scorpionic karma, And of course, I'm going to be describing Scorpio more negatively here. Scorpio is a beautiful sign, as all signs are beautiful. But when we describe the South Node, we want to talk about what is the more negative aspect of Scorpio, which we're trying to outgrow karmically, towards the more positive expression of Taurus to find balance within the nodal structure. So it's, you could consider the North Node like taking our karmic medicine, okay, to find that peace, to find that balance. But it's going to be hard work, says Saturn. You know, you got to take a detour through Saturn in order to access this evolutionary intention of positive Taurus. So Scorpio is about our own woundedness. And since we're using that habit energy, woundedness from the past, you know, we're all wounded somehow. And sometimes when something happens in our current life, in the present time, that reminds our subconscious or unconscious mind of the original event that created this deep trauma within us, the trigger point emotions come out to play. And usually the magnitude or severity of that emotional response doesn't match what you experience in the present. You know, it's much stronger than it should be, in other words, because it's a wound, it's a charged emotion within us. Now, emotions aren't bad, they're part of the human experience, but when we're talking about stuff we no longer want, we've outgrown, which is the whole purpose of working with Saturn, it's about the next maturational step. How can I outgrow some of this icky, sticky stuff in my astral body, in my emotional body, with the nodes transiting through, South Node transiting through Scorpio? Some of that stuff's going to come out just synchronistically, or it wants to come out. That's the whole process. It's like, how can I transform some of this stuff, especially if you have, you know, a lot of planets in fixed signs in your birth chart, because these nodes will be activating your chart specifically. So the hard work necessary to achieve this North Node intention, which is ultimately inner peace, calm, and serenity, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, the goddess of tranquility. And Venus herself is, you know, sandwiched in between Neptune and Jupiter. So the major Venusian intention, which we can achieve through this more Piscean vector, which I'll describe in a second here, but we can also achieve it just through hard work and focus. Saturn is the planet of concentration, and it's in this very, we could say, cerebral sign of Aquarius. Meanwhile, the cerebral Mercury is on steroids right now. So the whole mental process of taking stock of, okay, what are some of my habits, especially emotional habits, but also negative thought habits that I have continually? How can I work through that and sort of, you know, write about it, do a journaling prompt, you know, develop more intellectual understanding and awareness through observation and concentration about some of these sticky ickies within us, which is getting triggered, and then create an action plan or a bullet point list of like, okay, how can I grow beyond this? In other words, this is using the more Saturn and Aquarius rational side of this, which when dealing with the emotional world, the watery world, Scorpio is a water sign, can be rather hard because these are two different things, but it's having a deeper intellectual understanding of the energy of the human heart, which is, you know, different symbol systems and different energies. So it can be difficult, hence Saturn, hence the square, okay? It's hard work. How can we get this wrong? Well, the shadow side of Saturn in Aquarius is basically a steely disassociation or coldness, okay? And in that case, the wounds would try to rise to the surface, but you wouldn't go there. You know, you'd kind of just repress them. There's kind of a repressing energy associated with Saturn. And then you would not reach the North Node towards peace and tranquility. Instead, you would just rebury forcefully into the unconscious, which would then basically manifest as a cold, numb feeling. So allow me not to recommend that. That's not a healthy way of working with this. But a more intellectual understanding is useful here. But of course, you know, Venus rules Taurus, will serve as a helpful ally to achieve the North Node intention. Meanwhile, these three planets are in a beautiful sextile to that North Node, a more flowing or supportive aspect. This is more, as I've been talking about for many videos, I'm sure you're aware, this is about spirituality. It's about meditation. It's about raising our consciousness. Through meditative states, we can have a deeper level of intellectual understanding about our woundedness and how we can transform that into inner peace, inner calm, body-centered awareness, which is all Taurus energy. So get away from the complexity of our habitually ingrained trauma structures into peace within our body. Now, in terms of meditations, the one I'm going to share today is a beautiful way of achieving this intention. It's also a beautiful way of working with Uranus towards individuation. I'll also say there's another meditation I did a few videos ago called Reprogram Consciousness, and that one's available only on my podcast, which is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's called Expanding Consciousness with Bryan Colter. You'll find the meditation there, Reprogram Consciousness. That's another really powerful meditation to practice right now, with the goal being basically to create earthquakes, shake things up. It's like, okay, I don't want this old stuff in me anymore. How can I make some new moon beginning? I said it before, new moon, an Aquarian action that's in alignment more with my authentic self, and create some earthquakes in my life for my own betterment and evolution. This is a very healthy way of working with this. What about the unhealthy way of Uranus and Taurus, as well as Saturn squaring it? Well, all fixed signs, and Taurus and Scorpio and Aquarius and Leo, they're all fixed signs. They're all susceptible, especially Taurus, I'll point out, to this quality of fixity energy, or stubbornness, we could say. So Taurus the stubbornness can manifest as a refusal to adapt. And Uranus is about our own eccentricities sometimes. So how could we misdirect this energy in a more unhealthy way? Basically by becoming ridiculously stubborn in defense of things that actually do not matter at all. Like defending some of your quirks or idiosyncrasies as if they were issues of integrity and moral gravity. And if you were to do that, then you would fight against change. This energy is all about change. It's just hard work. So you don't want to become the stick in the mud version of this energy that resists change. It's like kicking and screaming. No. It's like this involves movement. This involves adaptation. This is where we can really lean into this Mercury and Gemini, which is more mutable energy that wants to, as the energy moves fast, kind of bob and weave through that energy towards individuation. I resolve to become my authentic self. I will no longer be victim to my own ingrained behavior, the artifacts of the past, and I will embrace change. I'll embrace disruption. I'll embrace the great awakener within my consciousness during this partial solar eclipse, which is also about great change. So look to what house this new moon and Uranus is in your own personal chart. The new moon is happening here. You can see it right here, 10.5 degrees of Taurus. You look for where that is in your chart, and you can get a deeper understanding in terms of the house here, the numbers in the middle of the house of your chart, which is an arena of your life where this new beginning wants to manifest. If you don't know how to look up your chart, I have a 45-minute tutorial on my website. I'll put a link below. But this is all about reaching this more evolved expression of Taurus North Node, a more body-centered awareness, authentic expression, beautiful time to spend time in nature, which you can maybe have some breakthrough epiphanies or moments of authenticity flow through you in this more serene area in nature where the frequency is higher. You can get away from the craziness of the world, find some separation. You can find your authentic self there. So there's many ways to work with this energy, but individuation and authenticity is the goal. And these are the core evolutionary intentions, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Now we're going to transition to the meditation. I recommend using headphones for best results. Enjoy. Let's begin by focusing on the breath. And Focus on your nose. As you inhale, feel the air enter into the lungs and feel your belly and chest expand. And with an equally slow exhale, let all the air out. Very slow, rhythmic breathing. We enter into this meditation through the breath. We allow the breath to guide us into body awareness. And on the next inhale, you follow the breath down and continue to move your attention down your left leg, all the way to the big toe of your left foot. Feel the big toe. See if you can feel the toenail of the big toe on your left foot. And now focus on the toe next to the big toe. And then the middle toe. And the toe next to that. And now the little toe. And now move through the left foot. Feel all the tissues and bones and tendons of the left foot. Feel how the energy changes in your foot as you focus on it. And now slowly move up into the left ankle. And into the left calf. And into the left knee. Feel the kneecap. And now move through your left thigh. Left hip. And now move across the pelvic floor to the right hip. And down into the right thigh. Into the right knee. Right calf. Right foot. And then into the little toe of the right foot. The toe next to that. the middle toe, the toe next to that, and now the big toe of your right foot. And feel the toenail of the big toe. And now expand your awareness and feel both of your legs and hips. They might feel warmer now. That's good. It's because you're moving etheric vitality through your legs. Now focus on the lower back. And middle back. And upper back. Up over your shoulders. And now into your chest. Feel the skin of your chest touch the fabric of your shirt. Feel the texture of your shirt. Now feel the heartbeat in your chest. And now down into both lungs. And into your solar plexus. And now feel your spleen. And your liver and gallbladder. And into the stomach. Feel the kidneys. And now move your attention up, back through your chest, and now into your right shoulder, into your right bicep and tricep, right elbow, right forearm, right wrist, right hand, and feel all of your fingertips. And now back up the right arm, through the wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, across the chest, into the left shoulder, left upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, left hand, and into the fingers. And now back up through the left arm, through the elbow, left shoulder, and up into the neck. The front of the neck, and now the back of the neck. And up the back of the head to the top of the head. And now down to the forehead. And into your eyes, nose, cheeks, chin, and mouth. And now feel your whole head area. And visualize a beautiful golden sun in and around your head, shining in all directions. On your next inhale, visualize that golden sun glow as brightly as you can imagine. And now slowly move down to the chest area. And from the middle of your chest, visualize a second golden sun in and around your chest, shining in every direction. And with each inhale, visualize this gold sun in your chest growing bright as you can. And now move your attention to your stomach area and visualize a third golden sun in and around your stomach. And with each inhale, it glows brighter and brighter. now visualize all three suns at the same time in the stomach, chest, and head. They continue to become more luminous. And slowly they begin to merge into one big sun. You have the light of all the stars within you. As we close this meditation, let's end with this affirmation. I resolve to make a new beginning that's in alignment with my higher self, and I will do what excites my soul.